He hadn't heard her voice in 6 years. But when she said, "Our son is dying, and only your blood can save him," the world he built without them collapsed in a single breath. And he ran, without shoes, without keys, without thinking. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. Alistair Hayes lived in silence. The kind of silence you earn by closing every door to your past and insulating yourself with wealth, high ceilings, glass walls, and no room for echoes. His mornings were timed. His meals prepped. His suits tailored down to the thread. No one asked questions and no one got close. That was the arrangement. He'd made his first million at 29, lost it at 31, and made 5 more before 33. Money didn't change him. It just made his isolation feel like a design choice. The only time his phone ever rang without a meeting attached was when Elena called, his on-again, off-again companion. Beautiful, ambitious, emotionally untouchable. She understood the rules. Keep it polished. Keep it distant. Keep it clean. So when his phone lit up that morning with a number he didn't recognize, area code from a small city upstate, he almost didn't answer. But something made him swipe. He brought the phone to his ear, halfway distracted. "Hello." There was a pause. Then a voice. So measured. Familiar. "Alistair." He stopped breathing. It had been 6 years. "Lucia." He stood up from his desk without realizing it, the chair pushing back silently. "Lucia?" A deep inhale on the other end. "I wouldn't call if it wasn't life or death." His chest tightened. "What happened?" "It's our son." The words hit like a fist. He couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't begin one. "He's in the hospital," she said. "Acute liver failure. It's genetic. They've ruled out every donor except one." He already knew what she would say next. "You're the only match." He gripped the edge of the desk, knuckles white. The room blurred. "Send the address," he said. "I'm on my way." Lucia paused again. Like she couldn't believe it. He didn't wait for more. He hung up and moved, fast, without thought. His phone clattered to the floor. His jacket stayed on the hook. The door slammed behind him. He drove with his hazard lights on the whole way, weaving through traffic, heart pounding like a war drum. He hadn't seen her in 6 years. Had never met his son. Didn't even know if the boy knew he existed. But none of that mattered now. There was a child, his child, dying in a sterile room, and the only thing that might save him was pumping through Alistair's veins. He didn't stop for flowers. Didn't rehearse an apology. Didn't dare imagine what her face would look like when she saw him again. All he could picture was a small boy with Lucia's eyes, afraid, hooked up to machines, slipping away while he was stuck in traffic. When he finally pulled into the hospital's gravel lot, the nurse at reception barely looked up. "Room 428, she said. "They're expecting you." He took the stairs. For flights. His legs didn't feel the burn. His chest did. When he opened the door to the room, he saw her first. Lucia. Hair pulled back. Tired eyes. Still beautiful in the way grief never could take away. She didn't stand. Didn't move. She just looked at him like she wasn't sure if he was real. Then she stepped aside so he could see the bed. The boy was small. Wires in both arms. Monitors blinking. Breathing shallow. Alistair took a step in. Then another. He had no words. Just this thought. "I should have been here sooner." Lucia finally spoke. "His name is Matteo." The name landed somewhere deep. "Matteo," Alistair repeated, barely above a whisper. Then, "Can I sit?" Lucia nodded. And for the first time in his life, Alistair sat beside his son. Not as a billionaire. Not as a man who ran from the past. But as a father trying to catch up before it was too late. The first thing Alistair noticed was the stillness in the room. Machines beeped softly, spaced like a metronome. Every few seconds, a small ventilator hissed, releasing just enough air to remind him this child, his child, was still here. Matteo's skin was pale. Too pale. Tiny freckles dotted his nose, just like Lucia's. His hair was dark, damp with sweat. A stuffed animal sat by his side, worn and gripped tight in one small hand. Alistair didn't know what to say. Lucia did. They need blood within the hour. He nodded, eyes still on the boy. I signed the paperwork, she added. They're prepping you now. He turned to her slowly. Is he stable? For now. The words landed sharp, clipped. She wasn't angry. She was focused, the way only a mother can be when time turns against her. Alistair stood. Take me. The nurse moved quickly, sterile kit in hand. Vitals checked. Consent form signed. Vein tapped. Needle in. He didn't flinch. But his mind was miles away. He'd built billion-dollar deals, stared down boardrooms full of doubters, survived public failures and private losses. But nothing felt like this. Watching the red pull into the bag, knowing it wasn't about him, but what that blood might mean. A child's life. His child's life. Lucia sat across the room, arms folded, eyes locked on the floor. He studied her in the silence. 6 years. No calls. No letters. And now she was here, tired, calm, holding up the entire sky on her shoulders. You should have told me sooner, he said quietly. She didn't move. Would it have changed anything? The question gutted him. He wanted to say yes. Wanted to swear he would have shown up, done better, been the father Matteo deserved. But 6 years of silence stretched between them like an accusation. You left, she added. And I stopped asking people to come back. He didn't respond. What could he say that wouldn't sound like an excuse? The nurse finished. We'll take this up now. Doctor will update you both soon. Alistair nodded. Lucia stood. Come on, she said. You should eat something. You're pale. He followed her to the cafeteria without speaking. They sat by the window. The food went untouched. Finally he asked, why now? She looked at him. Because I didn't have a choice. No, he said. I mean, why didn't you call before this? Lucia's face shifted. Not into anger. Into exhaustion. I did. He blinked. 3 years ago. I left a message. I didn't use the word son. I just said we needed to talk. You never called back. His stomach dropped. She sipped her water. I figured that was my answer. I never got it, he said. She met his eyes. Then I guess that's the tragedy of all this, isn't it? He wanted to reach for her hand. He didn't. Instead, he said the only thing that felt true. I don't know how to be what he needs. She didn't look away. Start with being here, she said. The rest will come. Back in the room, a nurse was adjusting Matteo's vitals are stabilizing, she said gently. Looks like we bought him more time. Lucia exhaled. First time that day. Alistair stepped forward. Slowly. Sat down beside the bed. Matteo's eyes fluttered open for just a second. Lucia leaned in. Hey baby. Someone's here. The boy blinked. Looked at Alistair. Alistair felt something sharp twist in his chest. Hi, he said softly. Matteo didn't speak. Just stared. Then closed his eyes again. But the grip on the stuffed bear tightened. And for Alistair Hayes, a man who had everything, that single movement broke something open. Alistair didn't leave the hospital. He booked a hotel across the street, but he didn't sleep. Spent most of the night in the waiting room, sipping burnt coffee, watching the news on mute. No one asked him to stay. Lucia certainly didn't. But he stayed. By morning, Matteo had color in his cheeks. The machines beeped softer now, less urgent. Still fragile but alive. Lucia sat at his side, reading from a worn paperback, voice low and rhythmic. Alistair stood just outside the doorway, listening. The nurse noticed him. You can go in. He shook his head. I'll wait. She gave him a look he couldn't read, then moved on. Later, in the cafeteria, he and Lucia sat at the same table. 2 coffees, untouched. Neither of them spoke. Finally, she broke the silence. You didn't have to stay. I know. She stirred her cup, not drinking. Don't confuse guilt with obligation, she added. I'm not here because I feel guilty. She glanced up. Aren't you? Alistair didn't answer. I'm here, he said eventually, Because I missed everything. And I don't want to keep missing it. Lucia leaned back, arms folded. It's not that simple. He nodded. I know. No, you don't, she said, voice still calm. You left before he was born. You don't know what it was like carrying a child alone. Signing every school form with one name. Watching him look at other fathers like they were magic tricks he couldn't learn. He said nothing. And now you show up and suddenly you're here, with tea and hospital shifts like it's your right to catch up. It's not my right, he said. She let that sit. Then, good. They sat in silence again. He looked down at his hands. I didn't know how to show up then, he said. I was scared. Stupid. Obsessed with building a life I thought would fix me. Lucia didn't interrupt. And I told myself, he continued, that if I just worked hard enough, long enough, maybe I wouldn't be the man who ran. She blinked slowly. But I did run, he said. And you're right to be angry. Her voice came softer this time. I'm not angry. He looked up. I was, she admitted. But not anymore. Now I'm just tired. Tired of being the only one who remembers every birthday, every fever, every time he asked why he didn't have a dad like the other kids. Alistair's throat tightened. I want to be there for him, he said. Then start by being there for me, she said. Not as someone who needs saving, but as his mother. He nodded. I can do that. Can you? She asked. He hesitated. Or do you just want to feel less like a stranger? He didn't have an answer. Not yet. That evening, he sat beside Matteo for the first time without waiting for permission. The boy was asleep, breathing evenly. One hand resting on the bear. The other, outstretched. Alistair reached over. Gently. Didn't touch him. Just rested his hand on the mattress near his son's. Close enough to feel the warmth. But not yet close enough to call it connection. Not yet. Matteo was awake. Fully this time. Alistair walked into the room that morning and found him sitting up, blinking at cartoons playing on a muted screen. Lucia was feeding him spoonfuls of oatmeal. Slow, careful. She looked up when Alistair entered. Gave a short nod. No smile. But no resistance either. Hey, Alistair said, stepping closer. Matteo glanced at him, then at his mother. Is he the doctor? Lucia's mouth twitched, not a smile, but something close. No, baby. That's your dad. Matteo blinked again. I don't have a dad. Alistair stood still. Lucia didn't flinch. You do. You just hadn't met him yet. Matteo stared at him, curious, not emotional. Kids didn't care about timelines. They cared about tone. About presence. You brought the bear, Matteo said suddenly. Alistair looked down. Yeah. I like him. I'm glad. Another pause. Then Matteo said, Can he stay while I nap? Lucia looked over. Alistair held the boy's gaze. I can stay. And so he did. That afternoon, a nurse came in with a clipboard. Matteo needs a second round of testing tomorrow, she said. Outpatient. Someone needs to be with him all day. Lucia nodded. I'll take off work. The nurse hesitated. It's recommended he be with both parents. The tests might make him drowsy, a little disoriented. He might need support. Lucia tensed. Alistair stepped in. I'll be there. She looked at him, unsure. Then gave a slow nod. You'll meet us in the morning, she said. Don't be late. I won't. The next day was quiet. They drove to the outpatient clinic in the same car. Lucia in the front seat. Alistair behind the wheel. Matteo in the back, kicking the seat gently and asking questions about the machines. Alistair answered what he could. Lucia corrected him gently when he got it wrong. There was no tension, just tired cooperation. During the wait between blood draws, Alistair handed Matteo a juice box, opened it without being asked. Lucia noticed. During the final scan, when Matteo grew sleepy and cold, it was Alistair who took off his jacket and laid it over the boy's legs. Lucia noticed that too. Afterward, they sat in the recovery room, the three of them clustered around a small bed. Matteo dozed. Lucia looked over. You didn't have to come. I wanted to. She looked down. He's going to ask soon. About us. I know. What are you going to say? He thought for a moment. That I made mistakes. And that I'm still trying to fix them. Lucia nodded. A long pause. Then, he doesn't know what to call you. What do you want him to call me? She looked up. That's not for me to decide anymore. Alistair blinked slowly. It was the first real sign of something shifting. Not forgiveness, but permission. That night, he carried Matteo from the car to the house. Lucia unlocked the front door, stepped aside to let them in. Matteo stirred as Alistair lowered him onto the couch. Are you leaving? The boy asked sleepily. Alistair hesitated. Looked at Lucia. Her face gave nothing away. I'll stay a while, Alistair said. Okay, Matteo whispered, already drifting off. Lucia went to the kitchen. She poured tea into 2 mugs, carried them back without ceremony, and set one down beside him. Thanks, he said. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. Their son between them. Breathing easy. For the first time in years, so were they. The following morning, Lucia didn't open the door when he knocked. Alistair stood outside the modest house, his jacket slung over his arm, coffee in both hands, waiting. No answer. He knocked again, softer. Still nothing. Finally, he left the coffee on the step and walked away. That night, she called. I needed a day, she said. Not from him. From you. Her voice wasn't cold, just tired. That same quiet exhaustion that had been clinging to her since the hospital. Can I come by tomorrow? He asked. The pause. If you're just going to leave again when things get hard, then no, she said. If you're serious about being in his life, in mine, then yes. The line went quiet. Then she hung up. The next afternoon, he came back. Matteo was building a puzzle on the rug. Lucia was at the table, staring at her hands like they were foreign. He bent to greet the boy, helped him find a corner piece, then stood up and faced her. I wasn't going to run. She looked up. Did you think I locked you out to test you? No. But I would have deserved it. She exhaled, slow. I just snapped. He waited. I held everything in for years, she said. Paid bills alone. Carried groceries up the stairs with a toddler in one arm. Sat in waiting rooms while doctors gave me bad news in doublespeak. And I smiled through it. For him. She gripped the edge of the table. I never let myself cry, not once, because I was afraid if I started, I wouldn't stop. He stepped closer but didn't interrupt. And then you came back, she said, with your soft voice and clean shirts and hospital coffee. And I let myself believe, for just a minute, that maybe I didn't have to carry everything alone. She looked at him then. Not angry. Just hurt. But you did leave. And I raised him. Without you. So don't ask me to fold all that pain into a neat little reunion. I'm not, he said. I swear I'm not. She stood, the chair scraping gently behind her. I'm not saying you're a bad man, Alistair. I'm saying you left a fire behind, and I had to raise a child in the ashes. He didn't move. What do you want me to say? He asked. I want you to admit that you chose yourself. He nodded slowly. I did. Her throat caught. I was afraid, he continued. Of fatherhood. Of failing. Of becoming the man I watched ruin my own mother. I thought I could outrun that fear if I built something big enough. And did you? No, he said. I just built a bigger version of the same emptiness. A long pause. Then she walked past him, toward the living room, where Matteo was humming to himself. She crouched beside her son. Kissed his hair. He loves you already, she said. Alistair swallowed hard. I know. But if you leave again, she added, don't just break my heart. You'll break his too. He nodded. Voice low. I won't leave again. Lucia turned. You don't get to say that yet. And she was right. Later that evening, after Matteo had fallen asleep with puzzle pieces still scattered on the floor, Alistair sat alone in the kitchen. Lucia joined him. She poured 2 mugs of tea. I don't know what this is between us, she said. Neither do I. But I know what it wasn't, she added. And I know what it cost. She slid a mug toward him. I can't promise anything, she said. But I'm willing to see what happens. Alistair took the tea. No grand declarations. No promises. Just presence. And for the first time, that was enough. Alistair came the next morning with no plan. Just a bag of groceries and a quiet knock at the door. Lucia opened it, already dressed, hair tied back, her expression unreadable. "I figured you hadn't eaten," he said. She stepped aside without speaking. He moved through the kitchen like someone trying not to intrude, setting items down carefully, washing his hands before touching anything. Lucia sat at the table, watching. When the smell of onions and butter filled the room, she said, "You cook now?" He glanced back. "I never stopped. I just assumed you had chefs." "I do. But sometimes I need to feel useful." She looked at him a long moment. "This isn't about being useful." "I know." He plated eggs, toast, and a little bowl of fresh fruit. Placed it in front of her. Then sat with his own. They ate in near silence. Until she said, "He asked about you this morning." "What did he say?" "He wanted to know if you were coming back." Alistair's fork paused midair. "And what did you say?" "That I didn't know." He nodded. Took another bite. "I want to be the kind of man who doesn't leave people guessing," he said. Lucia didn't respond right away. Then, "And are you?" He looked her in the eyes. "I'm trying." They finished the meal slowly. She cleared the plates. He dried. Something settled between them, not comfort, but understanding. Later, they took Matteo to the park. He held both their hands as he walked between them, narrating the shapes of the clouds like they were part of a secret story only he knew. Alistair watched the boy's face. His joy wasn't cautious. His trust wasn't partial. Children don't know how to split their love in halves. When Matteo ran ahead to climb the jungle gym, Alistair sat on the bench beside Lucia. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "Not trust. Not a second chance." She didn't argue. "But if there's room for me here," he added, "even just a little, I'd like to stay." Lucia didn't look at him. She watched their son. "He loves without memory," she said. "But I don't." "I know." The pause. "Then why keep trying?" she asked. "Because I finally understand what I lost. And I'm not trying to make it up. I'm trying to be better from here forward." She turned to him, expression unreadable. "He doesn't call you anything yet?" she said. "I noticed." "He'll ask soon." "I'm okay waiting," he said. Lucia gave a quiet breath, not a sigh, but something softer. "I don't want to do this halfway," she said. "Neither do I." They sat in the sun a while longer. No holding hands. No promises. Just two people who had survived their own decisions. Watching a little boy climb. That evening, as Alistair rose to leave, Matteo tugged at his sleeve. "Can you come back tomorrow?" Alistair knelt. "Only if your mom says it's okay." Matteo looked up. "Mom?" Lucia nodded. "Yeah. He can come back." The boy grinned and ran off. Alistair stood, surprised. Lucia shrugged slightly. "It's a start." He smiled. "It's more than that." "No," she said. "Not yet. But maybe." He didn't push. He just said, "I'll see you in the morning." And this time, it didn't feel like a question. It started with small routines. Alistair came by most mornings. Sometimes with groceries. Sometimes with library books for Matteo. Occasionally, just with silence and 2 coffees. Lucia never asked him to stop. Matteo started calling him Dad one afternoon, without fanfare. They were walking home from school. Alistair had offered to pick him up, and the boy pointed at a cracked sidewalk. That part looks like a shark." Alistair didn't correct him. Didn't stop walking. He just looked down, smiled, and said, "You're right. It does." When he told Lucia that night, she froze for a second. Then simply said, "Okay." Not a celebration. Just acceptance. The moment had come, and it didn't need a reaction. On a quiet Thursday, Lucia was folding laundry when she found a drawing tucked into Matteo's backpack. It showed the 3 of them, crude stick figures, but clear. She was in the middle. Matteo on one side. Alistair on the other. All holding hands. The sun was too big in the corner. Her throat tightened. She didn't cry. She just pressed the paper flat and pinned it to the refrigerator. The next week, Alistair brought over an old record player. Lucia raised an eyebrow. "I thought you hated clutter," she said. "I do. But you said he likes music when he sleeps." He pulled out a box of jazz records, the same ones his mother had played when he was a boy. They set it up together on the kitchen counter, next to the coffee maker. That night, when Matteo fell asleep to Coltrane, the house felt warmer. Later, on the porch, Lucia leaned against the railing. Alistair joined her. They didn't speak for a while. Then she said, "I used to dream about this." He looked at her. "This? Not the house. Not the routine. Just help someone to carry it with me." He nodded. "I didn't know how to carry anything back then." "You're learning," she said. They stood shoulder to shoulder, watching the quiet street. Then she added, "You asked me once what I wanted him to call you." He turned, carefully. "I think you've earned it," she said. "Whatever name he chooses." He didn't answer right away. He just reached for her hand, slow, cautious, and this time, she didn't pull away. Her fingers curled into his. It wasn't dramatic. Wasn't loud. It just was. They still had hard days. Matteo still got sick sometimes. Lucia still snapped when she was overwhelmed. Alistair still struggled to say how he felt. But the difference now was simple. They showed up. Every time. On the anniversary of Matteo's recovery, they brought cupcakes to the hospital staff. Lucia handed them out. Alistair carried the tray. Matteo wore a paper crown and told every nurse, "My dad saved my life." No one corrected him. Lucia just watched from behind the counter, eyes shining. And Alistair, once afraid to be seen, to be known, to be needed, just smiled and said, "We did it together, buddy." That night, as Matteo slept, Alistair lingered by the door. Lucia stood in the hallway, arms folded, tired but calm. He turned to her. "I'm not asking for the past back," he said. "I wouldn't give it to you," she replied. "We earned something better." A quiet beat passed. "Then what now?" he asked. She looked at him for a long moment. Then said simply, "Now we live." And they did. One ordinary day at a time. Have you ever rebuilt something you thought was lost? Not all at once, but piece by piece? What helped you keep going? Share your story in the comments. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.